Welcome into One-on-One on OSU Student Radio KCUY, Sunlink Channel 112. I am Reed Spencer, joined by my co-host Logan Moser, as always, and every Wednesday, OSU insider Robert Allen. I'm actually happy to see you, Robert. Not that I don't enjoy every Wednesdays, but it's a win, which makes this show a little bit more enjoyable to do.
Yeah, I would say the mood all around Stillwater, and you mentioned, we were talking about it here before the start of the show, that we all have radio duties, and the radio duties have been much more pleasant. Last 2 weeks were pretty rough.
So what kind of win, I'll go ahead and ask you before we jump into some Big 12 stuff, how big of a win for this program was that Saturday night?
I think on the surface for the season and the relationship with the fans and all that, I don't know if I would put it in the season-saving category. I still think Oklahoma State has some work to do to where fans will go into the off season or the bowl season, then into the off season thinking, okay, this wasn't great, but we kind of knew it was going to be a reset year, and the Cowboys did fine. I think the biggest impact of this win, and this goes back to the comments from early in the summer with Athletic Director Mike Holder, this one's for you, Coach Holder. This one's for recruiting. Because I think Mike Gundy understood the value of it. I think his staff understood the value of it. You go in and you get a lot of your top players from Texas. And it gets tough. When Texas is really good, not just do you have to battle Texas, but Texas will do really well, and everybody else is coming into that state, and it backs everybody up a little bit. When you can go into the state of Texas and say, we beat Texas 7 of the last 9 years, beat them in our place this year, beat them in their place 4 years in a row, you can really, you not only are talking the talk, you have walked the walk in the Longhorn State. So I think it's a huge win for recruiting. And just on the surface Saturday night, there were, close to 50, 60 kids here, and almost half of those kids were either kids who have been offered already or committed already. Brendan Costello, the quarterback from California, that's a quarterback in the 19 class. One of the quarterbacks they'd like to see in the 20 class out of Arkansas was here. You had an official visitor in Keandrick Glass, a running back out of Katy, Texas. It's really a sensational recruit that's going to visit Alabama and Ohio State, and left here saying, man, what a great atmosphere. People who don't know, Oklahoma State's got a great football atmosphere. So just on the surface Saturday night, you impressed a lot of kids and their parents.
Can you kind of talk about the atmosphere that was just in the stadium on Saturday night? Because it stayed full for the majority of the game.
Yeah, and I don't want to get negative. I mean, this shows, we were negative last week and the week before that, but I will say this, the only area after halftime that emptied out somewhat, and it wasn't bad. I've seen it happen much worse after a homecoming halftime announcement, but there were probably a good 7, 8, 9 rows in the upper part of the student section that just became vacant.
Yeah, that
frustrating.
Happens. Yeah,
frustrating.
Really?
Like you said,
Oklahoma State was leading at halftime. Oklahoma State's leading the 6th-ranked team, and I don't care if you're not even a football fan. That's where everybody was. Don't you want to be where the people are? Hey, where the happening place is? And, that blew my mind. But the atmosphere overall, Mike Gundy said it afterwards. He said it to the media. He said it to us in the post-game radio on the Cowboy Network. He goes, this is as good as it's been. Mm-hmm. And if we can get this all the time, people who don't think the players feed off of it, you're kidding yourself. I mean, those kids are just like any other human being. And when there's a lot of people showing interest and they're excited about what you're doing, when people come up to you guys and say, hey, man, I watched your show. It's really great, man. I enjoy it. Man, you guys are the highlight of my day. Well, how does that make you feel?
Pretty good when it happens.
Yeah.
When people are sitting in the stands, that's what those players, they know, hey, everybody's enjoying us. They're watching us play. This is cool. So, yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah, certainly Logan and I were not there, but, you felt the atmosphere all week in Stillwater, and to see it on TV, it was a great performance. we'll skip. There's a couple of interesting games. The Big 12, obviously Texas Tech and Kansas State, and Gary Patterson's had a migraine for a month now, losing to Kansas. Is there anything with those two games? The other two were blowouts. Anything that surprised you with those two games?
The Texas Tech Iowa State win. I thought it was a terrific game. It was fun to watch. I got to see quite a bit of that before we got really kicking and getting ready for the pregame in the Oklahoma State game. Oklahoma romped the Kansas game, because if you look at the stats on that, if no one showed you the score, they just showed you the stats, you're going to say, oh, okay, TCU probably won by a couple of touchdowns. But no, they didn't. I mean, there were some freaky things that happened in it. Right now, TCU is just full of bad mojo. Now, nothing's going right for them. It's kind of like Gary Patterson walked under a ladder, is walking alongside a black cat. Gary, don't go out on Halloween. Don't trust anything right now. I mean, because it's bad. Like I said, it's bad mojo for TCU, and they're coming up on the Battle of the Purple, and they're in real good mojo going on in Kansas State either. They're talking about the old man quitting, or not quitting, but being encouraged to go to the retirement home, and that's crazy too. So that's going to be a wild game.
Yeah, and interesting. Obviously, the most interesting game for us is Oklahoma State this week, but West Virginia at Texas is a very interesting game. And we'll get your thoughts on that if we have time to end the show. But what happened at the end of Saturday night's game? Gundy's pumping up the crowd. I thought the way he handled it at the handshake was great. I didn't think Herman handled it well at first, but it ended right there for the coaches. But Brecken Hager, I think that what he did was unacceptable, but you can't punish him if you're Tom Herman, because Tom Herman was out there trying to get to Mike Gundy. So I know they ended it, but what are your thoughts on Brecken Hager and what Tom Herman did Saturday night?
Well, let's be totally upfront and honest here. There was another guy involved in this.
Johnson?
That would be Oklahoma State wide receiver Tyron Johnson. In fact, one of the first things they do in the locker room, I love to give people a snippet of what goes on. One of the first things, once everybody's in the locker room, and after a win like that, it takes longer, because guys are out there celebrating with the crowd, and Gundy, and in this case, I think it was Gundy, Taylor Cornelius, maybe Tylan Wallace, were all held up to interview with ABC, with the ESPN group. And so once everybody got in the locker room, they do the Lord's Prayer. Well, we're waiting for everybody to get in, and I just happened to notice I was standing next to Tyron. And I go, Tyron, what'd you say? He goes, Mr. Allen, I trash talked to him good. Told him I wanted a piece of him. And so Tyron got under Brecken Hager's skin. But to be fair here as well to Tyron, it is not very hard to get under Brecken Hager's skin. I think he's a couple of bricks shy of a load. I'm just telling you. I've interviewed him before, and it's like he's from outer space. So, and you know what? I mean, here's a guy that says his freshman year. Y'all ever seen his freshman picture at Texas?
Yes.
Yeah, it's short hair. I mean, and he said, I'm not cutting my hair until Texas wins the Big 12. Well, that's 4 years. That's 4 years of hair. And guess what, Brecken? I don't think you're going to get to cut it. So you're going to have to wait until some other group that doesn't have you on the team wins. If you're going to keep it and keep the promise, I would just assume he'd go cut it now. Cut your losses, okay? But you know what? When you look at the coach's response, I don't have a problem with either one. Mike Gundy ran out there because he doesn't have many offensive linemen.
Yeah.
And the big guys are the ones that are most apt to throw a punch. And you throw a punch, it's not just you're going to the house for the last few seconds. You're going to miss the trip to Waco. He can't afford to lose anybody. Can't afford to lose any of his running backs or anybody. So he was out there, and he told the officials as soon as he got out there, he looked at officials and said, I'm just trying to keep a fight from happening. And so he was trying to get his guys back. If you looked over on the OSU sideline, all the strength coaches and some of the position coaches and even a radio guy were out there with their arms like this. And I had a hold of Rodarius Williams. He wanted out there. You leave. You guys know the rule. You leave
Yeah.
the bench, you're ejected, and you're gone next week. So OSU was in protection mode. Herman thought Gundy was out there after Hager. I don't care. I mean, I understand. He came out to defend his player. And then at the handshake, Gundy made sure. I think Gundy made sure, one, Herman knew what he was doing, and two, how both coaches should handle it with the media. Because Gundy started giving him media advice. Just tell everybody we were trying, he was trying to help Herman out. So in the end, it was okay. It looked uglier than it probably was. And Tyron Johnson, you're better than Conrad Dobler, and you guys won't even know who I'm talking about there, but I can tell you that story later.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. Breckenhager, fun one-on-one fact, 0-4 against the Oklahoma State Cowboys, and we'll never beat them because he is not coming back.
No.
But we'll be right back on one-on-one, OSU Student Radio, KXUI, Suddenlink, Channel 112.
One-on-One is brought to you by Tinker Federal Credit Union. Visit facebook.com/TinkerFCU. While you're there for your family, we're there for you. Tinker Federal Credit Union. And OSU Communications. Not sure where to park? OSU Communications has got you covered with parking tips and bus schedule information. We'll be right back.
Determining your future by selecting a major can be difficult.
It's okay to be undecided.
Connect with the College of Arts and Sciences, where your options are endless.
Where you can uncover your passions and achieve your goals.
Express your creativity by exploring a career in the visual and performing arts.
Investigate new discoveries to make the world a better place with a career in science.
Advance knowledge, communicate progress, and contribute to a healthier planet with a career rooted in the social sciences.
Discover your career by looking at the world from different perspectives through the humanities.
Realize a better tomorrow through problem solving and mining data that can change lives.
CAS prepares you to succeed through internships, study abroad, student-guided research projects, and service activities.
With 109 majors, 52 minors, and 24 departments, the only thing missing is you. College of Arts and Sciences.
Connect.
Achieve. Succeed.
When you have a team of physicians and nurses that really truly care about their patients, that translates into patient care.
It's a small practice, it's a small town. Everybody really takes that time to put the patient first.
Everybody cares what's happening to me and that I'm making progress and I'm gaining my freedom back and my mobility back. This patient is saying thank you.
This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses that help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of Downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.
All right, you're right.
Oh, I am.
Oh, there's my prediction.
Yeah.
It's going to look really bad after I say this. Listen, we're in sports media, but at the end of the day, I am a homer, but that's not where this prediction comes from. What was it, 3-4 years ago, TCU came in here highly ranked.
Yeah.
OSU dominated them. Baylor's came in here with RG3.
ABC prime
yeah.
time.
OSU wiped the floor with them.
Clint Shelf.
This team is down and out. Gundy said put the big boy pants on. I had a little rant last week. Fans are mad, but as Robert said, fans can get as angry as they want, but they don't spend 12 hours a day on the practice field, watching film, going to school, working hard for this. It does mean something for this team. Texas, 34-29 against Maryland. Maryland's not very good. 28-21 Tulsa. Tulsa is awful. USC's bad. That's their one good win. TCU, obviously Kevontae Turpin, we didn't get into that, dismissed after being arrested this week. So it's tough times in Fort Worth. K-State was not
close game.
The team that shall not be mentioned. 19-14. OU, they almost gave it up in the fourth quarter, 48-45. Baylor, 23-17. Baylor's good but not great. You're looking at this list right here and going, well, Texas hasn't dominated anyone. USC, a quarterback that is in middle school basically. Well, welcome back to One-on-One on OSU Student Radio, KXUY Sunlink Channel 112, joined by Logan Mosier and OSU insider Robert Allen. I'm Reed Spencer. Sometimes it pays to be a homer, Robert. Sometimes it's awesome to be right, and I am wrong so often that we have to make a bump in when I'm right. But I predicted the Cowboys would win, and I'm going to enjoy it as the Cowboys get a 38-35 win over the number 6 Longhorns.
People have gotten network positions with predictions like that. So, I mean, you need to use it all for all it's worth. Here's what I'm stuck with. Last week was the first time I picked against Oklahoma State, and I picked Texas to win by a touchdown. You know, because I'm just like, you know, I mean, Oklahoma State they were struggling.
Yeah.
So now I'm in the predicament of a lot of people are like, pick against them again. You know, but I'm not into that.
Yeah.
You know,
the no superstition.
I'm not. No.
I
And
am.
to be fair, Robert, you and
I
I
think Baylor's going to win though. No.
you and I both picked Texas to win, but we said, Reed, we hope you're right.
Oh yeah.
We want you to be right.
I mean, Robert, I am in that superstitious business because I pick against my Kansas City Chiefs every week.
You do?
Every
does.
week, and he picks for him. And it works.
You know what? If I were you, I would pick them this week. I think you've got a great shot against a team that fired their coach.
Yeah.
And besides, won't it be fun to see Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs beat Baker Mayfield and the Browns?
Oh, I hope so. I'm picking against him on our Friday show, though.
There you go.
He's super superstitious. I
I
picked against him.
probably will pick Oklahoma State this week, okay?
Well, an offensive performance, at least in the first half, that was unbelievable. Taylor Cornelius had probably the most important 16 yards for this entire team with that 10-yard touchdown run at the end and those 6 yards to get that first down. But you look at the offensive totals, I mean, Chuba Hubbard was in there. I think, you know, he had just as good a game as Justice Hill. Less runs, but similar yards. What did this offense do? And I hope you really say the offensive line because they were amazing Saturday night.
Yeah, I think the offensive line was improved and they were better. The other thing that I thought they did was they got away from the load and the G blocking and pulling people, and they just ran a lot of inside outside zone. They ran some stretch. When you notice, you know, each lineman will step out with a bucket step and go to their right or go to their left, and they did a really nice job with that. The other thing is by formation. They put Chuba and Justice Hill in the same two-man backfield together. Well, when you're a linebacker for Texas and you look at that backfield and you see 5 on one side and you see 30 on the other, you're like, oh, man. I mean, either direction, you're in trouble because both those guys have quicks. Both of them are good running backs. So I think what Oklahoma State did was they said, hey, look, let's put our guys, literally, this is what you tell coaches, put your players in the best position for success. Well, they put a formation out there that was going to be very good against Texas and cause the defense a lot of consternation. And then they also put the offensive linemen in the plays that they were going to block best. Even some of and they skinnied the playbook up, guys. That was one of Mike Gundy's mandates, both sides of the ball. Let's slim this up so our guys aren't thinking so much. Let's go with fewer plays and we'll get better results. But they still put some new material in. The position, under center for Cornelius. The I formation, which was definitely an ode to the throwback uniforms. That's a formation that Barry Sanders lived in back in the day, in the I formation. And they went play action on 4th and 1 and threw it on a deep drag to Jelani Woods. Again, they came up with some creative stuff that was easy to execute, and the offense did a nice job with it. Like you said, the offensive line played much better. I think they were much more confident. And I tell you the guy I'm happiest for, I mean, if you think about it on social media, and Gundy went into his Twitter rant and all that, all that was about one guy. I mean, the whole team wasn't getting beat up on Twitter.
Yeah.
One guy's been beat up a bunch on social media, and that's Taylor Cornelius. And I was happy. Not only did he get Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week, but by Sunday morning he had a helmet sticker from ESPN on college football final. The Manning people made him one of their Players of the Week. And then how about this? Because I'm pretty sure I beat up Zach Seiner a little bit on this show last week.
Yeah.
The punting had got to get better. He's a special teams player of the week in the Big 12, and his punt was awesome.
Yeah.
That was an awesome play in the game. So, a lot of good stuff.
So you talk about, inserting Chuba Hubbard in there. Tylan Wallace, was obviously had been inserted in there. When they threw to the 4th and 1 to Jelani Woods and then the 4th and 1 to Tylan Wallace, I still don't necessarily like the play call because when that ball goes in the air, it takes your breath away. But you get 2 touchdowns on there. That one to Tylan, he went up and got that. Yeah. That was his ball.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the one to Jelani. I mean, even if they covered Jelani, which they didn't, it's going to be a one-on-one deal.
Yeah.
Probably with a linebacker that's probably about 6'1" or 2. Jelani's 6'7". I like the odds there. The one you talked about with Tylan, that he basically, Chris Boyd mistimed his jump, and Tylan timed it perfectly. Now, do I know for sure this played a role in it? I don't. But that was in the second quarter, and remember, in the first quarter, Tom Herman, and I give Tom Herman credit because I would have bought these kids in, but he was sitting his starting corners. They had been not just late, they had missed most of a team meeting. And so he said, you're suspended the first quarter. Well, after OSU scored that first touchdown, I'm pulling those kids over. I'm going to run you guys till you drop next week, but you're playing right now. You're going in right now. I mean, I would have done that. I mean, I'm weak. I'm weak. Tom Herman was strong, and he held those guys out. All right. OSU, I think, was up, I want to say 14-0 or 17, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, in the second quarter, here comes Davis and here comes Boyd, the 2 starting corners. Okay. They're still not at full speed because they're coming into a game cold that everybody else has been playing in.
Yeah.
I mean, I promise you, it takes you a while to get up to speed with everybody else. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that's why Chris Boyd mistimed the jump, but I'm saying it was probably a good reason. I mean, if he had defended a couple of other plays prior to that and seen the throws, he's probably got a better chance of timing his jump right. But, so there you go. I mean, I know that makes it sound like I'm not giving Tylan and Oklahoma State enough credit. Mm-hmm. No, give them credit. Tylan was awesome. 10 catches, 222 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I mean that's awesome. And the good thing is all the other receivers have got to be happy because Baylor's going to cover the you-know-what out of Tylan Wallace. And Dylan Stoner, Landon Wolf, Tyron Johnson, all those other guys are going to have a chance to make a lot of plays because Baylor's going to have all their eyes on number 2. But at the end of the day, I guarantee the corners being held out and coming in the second quarter played a role. That's a great play there to open up the scoring, that route cut in front of the safety. It was a beautiful play.
This might be a little bit of an overreaction, but is Tylan Wallace a Biletnikoff candidate?
I mean, he could be. I mean, if he keeps this up, obviously, his numbers are awesome. I mean, I want to say he's in the top 6 in the country in both receptions and yardage. With the attention he's going to get, because, besides Baylor, you've got OU and West Virginia the next, second, game from now and then West Virginia after that. Those 2 teams are competing for the college football playoff. Mm-hmm. They don't want to get burned by Tylan Wallace. So he's going to get a lot of attention. If he keeps this up, he'll be a candidate. I don't know how it'll play out, though, because, the last 2 have gone to a guy that wore the same uniform that's up in Pittsburgh. But, I mean, if he goes out and proves it, you can't deny him. I would say this, probably got a good chance to be a finalist.
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly an impressive season for Tylan Wallace and a great game Saturday night. We're going to get into the defense and everything and special teams and the penalties when we come back in the next segment. You've been watching One-on-One on OSU Student Radio KXUI, Suddenlink, Channel 112.
One is brought to you by Oklahoma Christian University. Get your master's degree in accounting, business administration, theology, engineering, computer science, or cybersecurity from Oklahoma Christian University. Apply at oc.edu/grad. Oklahoma University is committed to offering the best graduate school experience we possibly can. Come learn and grow with us. And The Table. Stop by The Table on Thursdays at 8 p.m. to join their Bible study. Shoot Rachel an email at rachel@thetableosu.com for more information. We'll be right back.
my mind, I was never going to walk right again. Before we were through, we had walked 23 steps. And that was my first steps of freedom. This patient is saying thank you.
Back to One-on-One and Ocean Radio KXUI, Sunlink Channel 112. We'll just go ahead and start right there, Robert. It seems
Is this
to
the
me,
holding?
Yeah.
It seems
the
to me
holding.
that every offensive lineman is in the end zone. But how could that be? Because it wasn't a safety. So, Robert, I know you go to these clinics. You are the one-on-ones officiating expert, whether you like it or not. We're giving you that title.
Okay.
How do you mess that up?
I don't know how you mess it up, and they messed it up royally.
Didn't they
because
get the
not
wrong
only-
number?
Yeah, they got
Yeah.
the wrong number. They had the tackle, and the tackle wasn't holding. It was the guard. All 5 linemen were in the end zone. When you commit an infraction in the end zone, it's a safety. But all that said, and here's the deal: once it had been ruled incorrect, you couldn't change it because
Yeah.
holding is not a reviewable situation. Neither the infraction nor the location of the infraction is reviewable. Hang on, you're shaking your head, Bubba. But I'll tell you what, you're getting a lot of glory here for picking Oklahoma State to beat Texas last week. And in the end, the official screw-up may have helped your prediction come true. Because here's your choice. You get a safety, and now, which is nice, you get those 2
Yeah.
points. But Texas is going to move up to the 20 and have a free kick, which probably is going to give you the ball at your own 30, 35-yard line. Okay? Instead, they marked that much off for a penalty, and then you know Oklahoma State's defense stopped Texas and forced a punt on the back line, which Oklahoma State took possession at the Texas 35. Okay? After the free kick, you were going to be another 20, 30 yards away from the goal line, or from the goal. Maybe you drive and get a field goal. Well, now that becomes a 5-point transition or a 5-point situation. Maybe you don't get anything. All you get is the 2 points for the safety if you don't drive and score. Or you could have gotten a touchdown, and with the safety, that's 9 points, and that's a bonanza. But what you did get with the field position was 7. The second best scenario was to get 7 points out of that whole situation.
Well, Robert, it's no fun when you explain it like that. We just want.
I know,
we
because
just want
you
to be
just
mad
want
at
to
the
gripe
refs.
at the officials. Yeah, you know. And I'll say this, and I mean I know most of the officials in the Big 12, and I know Scott Campbell, the referee, and you know the umpire in that game as well. It's not the best crew in the Big 12. And if you had been in the Cowboy Network radio booth when I first walked in at it was about 3 o'clock. I walked into the booth at 3, and the first place I went was I knew on the front of the booth on the desk there would be the flip cards. I grabbed a flip card to see who the officials were, and I saw Scott Campbell's name, and I like Scott again. But when I saw it, I go, oh no. and Britt Lockhart, who's our producer engineer, was the only other one in the booth, and he goes, what's wrong? Yeah, he's an engineer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, somebody says, oh, no, he's conditioned. What's wrong? You know. And I said, nothing, Britt, nothing. He goes, no, what's wrong? And I said, the officiating crew. This crew shouldn't have this game. This crew should be in Lawrence for TCU and Kansas. And so, yeah, I was a little worried. Then I saw Bob Bowlesby on the sidelines before the game, Big 12 commissioner. I mean, you don't like seeing that because of all the teams in this league, which one represented right now, or as of Saturday, represented the biggest investment for the Big 12?
Texas.
Texas. The college football playoff poll came out this week. OU was 7th. Texas had dropped to 17th. West Virginia was 13th. Iowa State was 24th. Wow, and they're 4-3. But, they earned that. If Texas had beaten Oklahoma State, Texas is probably no worse than 6th.
Yeah.
Maybe 5th. I mean, they'd had to balance them with Michigan. The losses are a little different. Notre Dame for Michigan and Maryland for Texas. But Texas losing backed everybody up. Now, if you're Oklahoma, you're okay with it. Because all you need Oklahoma State to beat
West Virginia.
Baylor this week. And you need West Virginia to keep winning. And Oklahoma can finish the season with some quality wins against Oklahoma State and West Virginia. That's what they're looking at. But their Texas loss now looks worse. And if Texas loses again, it's going to look even worse. But the funny thing is, this goes back to the politics of the college football playoff. If you're Oklahoma, Texas is a bad investment now. So now you don't care. You need West Virginia badly to beat Texas. And that game's this week in Austin. If Texas wins that, now West Virginia's got another, if Oklahoma State were to lose to Baylor, now OU's schedule at the end is unraveling. Their possibility for credit points is dropping like a rock. So do I think the Big 12 was trying to maneuver a win for Texas on Saturday? I don't. I don't want to believe that. But do I think Texas was going to, and did, get almost every conceivable break? If it was close, did it go Texas' way? I think it does. And I think that's going to happen in every league across America as long as you've got the college football playoff. Because, guys, that's a lot of money they pass out for the teams that go to the college football playoff.
Yeah.
A lot of money.
That's a big point in where Oklahoma State improved, especially, the 4 penalties for 52 yards to Texas, 11 for 86. And you talked about the missed calls. On that last drive, Calvin Bundage was getting wrestled to the ground, and it just wasn't getting called. And it really was all game. A.J. Green somehow got a pass interference by falling behind the guy. I don't understand a lot of the calls.
Yeah.
And that's because I don't know the rule book. I can't understand the arguments they make. But common sense football, you look at it and you go, he's trailing a guy and he falls down, and the other guy doesn't fall down. How is this possible?
No, I know. And did you guys watch Andrew Beck, the
Yeah.
Texas tight end? You can't do what he was doing. He was going downfield running routes and knocking people down, blocking defensive backs that were trying to pick up receivers, and he's running. That's not a pick play. That's sending a bulldozer down there to knock the DB. But you know what? When you're I don't want to say when you're Texas, when you're a team in that position that is carrying and waving the banner for the conference, you're going to get breaks. Texas lost their breaks, and now it'll be funny. See what happens this week, because this week in Austin, the team the Big 12 really wants to see win is West Virginia. I'm anxious to see what the stats look like following that game.
Yeah.
It could be very interesting, but the defensive line to the linebackers to the secondary, I know they simplified it down, but let's start with that secondary. Malcolm Rodriguez, and we said it every week.
He's healthy.
Yeah. He's healthy, and when he's healthy, those first few weeks, he just flies. He just shows up everywhere. He's amazing, and he's young, but especially A.J. Green, not that pass interference call, but how well did they play and step up to kind of frustrate Sam Ehlinger?
They played really well, and they had the confidence of knowing they were getting a little more help than they'd had. You didn't see nearly as much press man. They weren't up in the receiver's face. They were smart about dealing with Colin Johnson and Duvernay and little Jordan Humphrey. I was worried a little bit about A.J. Green because on that first interference call that was called pass interference, I thought it was OPI, if anything, offensive pass interference. But the feet got tangled. They called it on A.J., and my worry was sometimes corners, and AJ in particular, gets called for interference, and all of a sudden you go into a shell because you don't want to get flagged again. Afterwards, I asked him about it, and he said, you know what? I know now whether I interfere or not. And if I get called but I didn't really interfere, I'm not going to pay attention to it. So he didn't. And that was great because he kept playing aggressive, did a nice job, and the corners were outstanding. I also talked to Jim Knowles afterwards. And he said, we only got one sack. That hurts his feelings. I mean, this is a guy that loves to see the quarterback on his back. And that his defense is predicated on doing that a lot and attacking the backfield. But he backed off of it because, okay, we'll back off. We'll give our guys in the secondary a little more help with the safeties. And that's what we need to do to win the game. So give Jim Knowles a little credit. He sacrificed what he loves to do, what he likes to see his defense do, to help the team effort a little bit, and it certainly worked. This week he gets an offense in Baylor that loves to have their quarterback sacked. I mean, they've given up 26 sacks this season, so it should be it's cherry-picking time for Jim Knowles and his guys this week. But you love the fact they sacrificed last week, and you love what they did. The other thing, too, and you mentioned about Calvin Bundage being tackled. Calvin had 2 tackles. He averages about 8 to 10 a game. Well, I guarantee you give Malcolm credit. Malcolm made up on some of, especially when it was up in run support, Malcolm did a good job of making up for the fact that Calvin was being mugged. So, and somebody needed to.
Well, he was disruptive, and it seems like with that bye week, he got a lot healthier as well. So
talking about Bundage?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, and I think he is healthy, and I think he'll make a lot of plays, provided he doesn't get mugged again.
That last drive was something else to watch.
Texas on that last drive? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You mentioned how Gundy kind of made the playbook simpler on offense. Did Jim Knowles kind of do that on defense? Make it a lot simpler?
I mean, by you know, they didn't do nearly as much in the blitz area and the stunt area, and then they backed the corners off, let them play more comfortable, and then they played a lot more zone coverage with the safeties involved in pass coverage, having a safety over the top so that corner wasn't feeling like, oh, God, if this guy gets 2 steps on me, it's over. Did a nice job. And we don't got to mention Cole Walterscheid.
Yeah. Pass
because, I mean, those are big because not only are they fun to watch, but that really will intimidate a quarterback. When a quarterback, it's like in basketball, when a in-your-face block shot, does that make the shooter adjust his shot? You darn right it does. So now it was in 11's head, man, I got to look for 82 to make sure I don't get my pass knocked down. That's another effective way of defending.
So Jim Knowles and the defense, they did their part. I mean, they allowed, the 35 points, but they did enough to win. And we'd been talking about, the 12 points at Kansas State. Well, usually Oklahoma State scores enough to win those games, so the defense doesn't always matter. But we have to take a quick break here. But the special teams, it's got to get better down at Baylor because those points, those missed field goals could have come back to bite the Cowboys.
Yeah, and I know. I mean, if you lose that game, Amendola is going to be one of the GOATs, no doubt about it. Field goal kickers, bless their hearts, sometimes they're going to have a bad game. And Amendola it's kind of become norm for him to have a bad game or 2. He's had 2 in a row with Texas. I forgot about the 2 he missed in Austin last year. And he also missed 2 at Tech. So will he have another game this year where he misses 2? He might. Hopefully not one that affects the outcome. But for the most part, this guy's been pretty reliable. So I'm not going to get too stressed out. And like I said, give Zach Seiner credit because he had been average or below. And that play was one of the big plays in the game. His punt down to the goal line. And credit the Texas return man for making it. I mean, jeez, are you kidding me? Let that go. Give it a chance to get in the end zone. But that was beautiful.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back to break down the Baylor Bears this Saturday. You're watching One-on-One on OSU Student Radio KXUI, Suddenlink, Channel 112.
One-on-One is brought to you by Oklahoma Air National Guard. Contact Oklahoma Air National Guard at 800-GO-TO-ANG or visit their website at goang.com/OK for more information about how to get 100% college tuition. And Unitarian Universalist Church. If you're looking for a church home, visit Unitarian Universalist Church of Stillwater, located at 320 South Stallard Street. They offer an alternative spiritual path and welcome all races, religions, and beliefs. They are also LGBTQ friendly. Services every Sunday at 10:30. We'll be right back.
Stillwater Medical Center now offers a convenient way to view your health information online. It's secure, easy, and free. Our hospital and clinic patient portals allow you to view results and reports, medications and allergies, track visit histories, view upcoming appointment information, and see your statements. To enroll, go to stillwatermedical.com and click on the patient portal link near the top right of the page. If you have questions, please feel free to call 405-533-6010.
Welcome back to One on One on OSU Student Radio KCY Sunlink Channel 112. I'm Reed Spencer, joined by my co-host Logan Moser, and every Wednesday OSU insider Robert Allen. As you're seeing, Taylor Cornelius with his touchdown run at homecoming last year against the Baylor Bears. Hopefully we'll see that again this weekend, Robert. The Baylor Bears are 4-4, 2-3 in the.
Can't help but smile. Yeah, because I've been on the Taylor bandwagon the whole time, and so
it felt good.
They're not a lot of us, but you know.
Well, it was good to see him do as well as he did this weekend.
Yeah.
You know, here's the deal. All this kid has done is been loyal. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's just like the song says. He's loyal and true. He came here. He loves it. He was a Texas Tech Red Raider fan growing up, but he came here. He fell in love with it. He waited his turn. Is he as good as Mason Rudolph? Probably not. I can tell you sometimes in practice his arm, though, is so fun to watch because he throws lightning sometimes. Mm-hmm. I mean, I still don't think fans have seen in a game exactly as good as we've seen him be in practice at times. But I know we got to move on. But I'm just saying this guy has been as loyal and true as you can get, and he's taken a lot of crap. As he played poorly at times, K-State was not very good, but for the most part, he's done his best, and it's been pretty good. So, okay, that's the Taylor Cornelius moment for the week. Okay.
Well, I'll start off there. As we said, the 4-4 Baylor Bears, and they're 2-3 in the conference coming off. They essentially, I don't know if you'd call it a bye week, but they get that Thursday night game in Morgantown, so they had a weekend off, so a little mini bye week to prepare for the Cowboys.
Yeah, and they had the weekend off before that Thursday game, too.
Yeah, that's good scheduling, but it didn't work. But
it didn't work out very well.
It's good scheduling. So I'll go ahead and ask you. I don't know that you'll have the answer. Who's going to start at quarterback for the Baylor Bears Saturday?
You know, I think it'll be McClendon. I kind of do. I mean, Brewer is in concussion protocol. Apparently it was, I mean, they took him out. They didn't see a particular player hit, but he was 1 for 8, and they just said he was not acting right. I mean, he was kind of, And it looked strange. And when they took him out and they did the initial testing, they realized, okay, something's wrong here. McClendon came in and threw the ball pretty well. We were talking about this before we came on. Matt Rule said this week in his press conference, the NFL, there's a lot of all-star games. Senior Bowl's the biggest, and then there's the East-West Shrine that's pretty big. College all-star games for the draftable players. Well, there's a third, the NFLPA game that's out on the West Coast. He's been selected for that already. He doesn't even start. So, and he's 6'5". He looks good, looks the part. So, I kind of think you're going to see McClendon. I really do.
Well, we've had the horror stories against backup quarterbacks here.
Yeah.
What's the difference between McClendon and Charlie Brewer? What's the difference for Jim Knowles preparing for this?
Not a lot, because they're going to do the same things, I think, with McClendon. He's not – can he move around a little bit? Yeah, but is he a mobile guy that you're going to dual threat? No, Baylor's a drop-back offense. They play drop-back in the passing game, play action, and they're going to let their running backs, Hasty and Hurd, and those guys do the bulk of the running. So, I don't think there's much difference at all. And you know what? There's some carryover because Baylor's got some receivers in Sims and in Hurd that are big, 6'3", 6'4" guys. And certainly Oklahoma State's had their practice last week in dealing with the big, taller, athletic, big play receivers like, Colin Johnson and Little Jordan Humphrey for Texas. So I think you see a very similar attack, except not as good. Baylor's offensive line has struggled. They've given up 26 sacks, lots of tackles for losses. So if Jim Knowles is comfortable enough going back to the attack mode, the attack mode ought to work pretty good against Baylor.
So do you think, we talked about that long week not working going in, do you think it helps them coming into Oklahoma State? Could maybe take a reflection like Oklahoma State did on that bye week. Say, that hurt, what just happened. Let's fix it this week.
They had a player-only team meeting.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, the whole recipe.
Great.
The whole recipe.
Yeah.
They pull that from Kansas State. You pull the backup quarterback from the Iowa State scenario. Yeah, guys. But you know what? Homecoming.
Players-only meeting.
But you know what? This Cowboy team, after beating Texas, they're more equipped to handle this.
I hope so.
I got confidence. They're ready for this now.
Well, as soon as you told me players-only meeting, I just lost it all.
Well, when you told me backup quarterback.
This is like a final exam. All the bad things that have worked against you this season, they're all rolled up for Baylor, and they're going to throw them all at you. And top it with this. There's only one stadium in the Big 12 Mike Gundy has not coached a winning game.
McLean Stadium?
No, it's because he's only had a couple of tries in it. But still, I think the first one was Mason's. That was the first time OSU played down there. Was Mason's starting the rain in 14.
Now, they haven't had a lot of good trips down there since they built that new stadium.
No, but this is the third time.
Third time's a charm.
Third time's a charm.
There you go.
So,
that mixed it, man. That players-only meeting's been bugging me ever since you said, why? Can you not wait a week?
Yeah, no. Hey, after they got thrashed by West Virginia. The funniest comment of Matt Rule's news conference this week is when we got there, they were trash-talking when we got off the bus. They trash-talked my son. They trash-talked me. He goes, we ran into an aggressive team that was fit. He goes, fitting to kick our butts, and they did. So the players had how about this? They topped K-State. K-State just had a players-only meeting to talk about how can we get better. Baylor's players had a player-only meeting and watched the whole tape of the West Virginia game together without coaches.
Oh no! Oh man, an 11 a.m. kickoff. Robert, you could have gone all show. I could have gone without knowing that. Oh, man. This is bad.
Yeah.
This is bad, Logan.
Well, give us a key on offense to combat the players-only meeting.
The key on offense, to me, is very similar to what happened at Texas. What did the Cowboys do first? What did they beat Texas over the head with to begin with?
Everything.
The running game.
Yeah.
They ran the football. Justice got some big runs. Chuba got some big runs. They got the running game flowing, and now Texas is like, oh gosh, we got to stop the run. Got to run the football. Baylor, you know, K-State went in there before K-State even thought about running roughshod over Oklahoma State. They really ran roughshod over Baylor. Run the football. Hammer them with the run, and then everything else will click. That's the offensive key.
What's the defensive key?
Attack, attack,
Yeah.
attack. I mean, get back to it's time for Jim Knowles to get back to what Jim Knowles and his defenses love to do. And if you get the backup quarterback, hey, backups go down harder than starters. Go get the backup.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this is a team that lost to Duke in Waco. They're a better team now than they were then, but this team's still out there.
And Jim Knowles gets a lot of value out of that tape because Duke is still running his defense. That's the play. That's one of the games I keyed on to watch the Baylor offense, how they tried to attack that defense, because that's pretty much what Jim Knowles will go after him with this weekend.
So does that help Baylor as well? I've seen that defense at Duke.
It can, but I think it helps Jim Knowles better because he knows that defense. He knows how to make some adjustments that maybe didn't work for Duke. I would favor Jim Knowles on that video matchup.
But I would think it's fair while we have time to credit the job Matt Rule's done, because
oh yeah, they're better.
I didn't think that hiring him was a good idea. Coming from Temple, you have an East Coast guy coming into a dumpster fire. The smoke. I mean, they talk about the fine that they just got yesterday, but he's hired a lot of Texas guys on his staff. He's made the
high school guys.
Yeah, I mean, he has figured out the recruiting thing, and he at least comes across as an intelligent guy that's trying to do it the right way. And credit Baylor, the few right steps that they've made is hiring him. What kind of job has he done? I know they're 4-4, but he's picked them up.
Yeah, I'll tell you what kind of job he's done. He was a serious candidate for the Indianapolis Colts job. I mean, I know he took his name out, but the Colts really liked him. And I've got some people that think he's going to get an NFL job offer after this season, that another NFL team has him in mind. Of course, they haven't fired their coach yet. It's not Cleveland.
No, it's just probably your Denver Broncos.
Yeah. No, it's not
Dallas?
Denver either. No,
We can't go through
no.
the Giants, all of them.
Tampa Bay.
Hey, the respect for him goes all the way to that level. So, and I think he's done a really good job. I mean, I honestly think Oklahoma State wins Saturday, but I don't think it'll be easy. I think this will be a difficult win to get.
Well, add it to the list, Logan. Players only meeting, homecoming backup quarterback, and Robert picking the Cowboys. So this is a recipe for
the
disaster.
Cowboys have won with me. I am not an albatross. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me.
We're trying to put it on Robert. I think that the Cowboys. I'll let you go first. Go ahead. Your game prediction.
Okay, I think the Cowboys are going to win this one. I'm worried that they might come out a little flat after the homecoming game. You know, Barry Sanders, old uniforms, big crowd. It's the first big crowd they've had all year, and they might come out a little flat. But I think they're just flat out better than Baylor. And so I'm going to pick them to win this week. I'm not going to pick against them 2 weeks in a row.
Ooh, you ready for this?
Yeah.
No.
Are you flipping the script, Reed?
No, I think you're kind of right. You worry about coming out a little flat, but I think that win energized this entire program. They shut people up because I mean they can say they don't listen all they want. They've got ears just like everyone else. They may not be affected by it like you think, but they're human.
Yeah.
And they shut people up, and that gave them the confidence that they had earlier, especially off that Boise win. I think it's going to be an aggravating first half for the Cowboys, but I think eventually they look back at that Texas win and go, yeah, we're better than Baylor. Because I think they're better than a lot of teams that they've been beaten by this year. I think that they go to Baylor. It's a tough first half, but I think in the end that still mix Chuba in there and Justice. Taylor has another big game. I think the Cowboys are going to be sitting bowl eligible by this time next week.
I hope you're right.
That makes me so happy. You'll get to go on a trip for over the holidays, Robert.
And I tell you what, it's nice because the last time I spent Christmas at home was 2005, Gundy's first season.
It's a long time ago.
You know what? And you get used to it. A lot of people say, God, how do you like Christmas on the road? But our family's gotten to the point where that's what we're used to.
Yeah.
So we have just over a minute here. I'll ask you really quickly, Robert. An interesting game, the Big 12. 15, Texas is hosting number 13, 17, Texas hosting number 12, West Virginia. How do you see that game going in Austin?
You know what? I think it'll be a highly competitive game. Obviously, Texas is going to be, pretty determined after what happened in Stillwater last week. I picked West Virginia, but barely. And I think Texas better get ready for the treatment. The treatment they're used to having from the officials, they may find going against them.
What about the 7th-ranked Sooners? In night, the primetime game in Lubbock, they're going to be throwing tortillas.
Oklahoma wins big.
Oh. Big.
I think what happened to Tech at Iowa State last week, that could teeter them off the edge, and we could see Tech go back to being Tech.
Doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Doesn't bother me any.
No, I think Oklahoma wins big.
Alabama, LSU.
Alabama.
Yeah, I think Alabama.
Bold pick.
Yeah, they're running with a lot of
and you know what? I know they're playing Kansas this week. Beware the Cyclones. That's not a joke. The committee put them in at 24. I still think it's going to be Oklahoma playing Iowa State in a rematch in Arlington for the Big 12.
Well, it'll be interesting. Well, we'll see you back next Wednesday. Thank you for watching One-on-One on OSU Student Radio, KCUI, Sunlink, Channel 112.
Determining your future by selecting a major can be difficult.
It's okay to be undecided.
Connect with the College of Arts and Sciences, where your options are endless.
Where you can uncover your passions and achieve your goals.
Express your creativity by exploring a career in the visual and performing arts.
Investigate new discoveries to make the world a better place with a career in science.
Advance knowledge, communicate progress, and contribute to a healthier planet with a career rooted in the social sciences.
Discover your career by looking at the world from different perspectives through the humanities.
Realize a better tomorrow through problem solving and mining data that can change lives.
Cast prepares you to succeed through internships, study abroad, student-guided research projects, and service activities.
With 109 majors, 52 minors, and 24 departments, the only thing missing is you. College of Arts and Sciences.
Connect.
Achieve. Succeed.
When you have a team of physicians and nurses that really truly care about their patients, that translates into patient care.
It's a small practice, it's a small town. Everybody really takes that time to put the patient first.
Everybody cares what's happening to me and that I'm making progress and I'm gaining my freedom back and my mobility back. This patient is saying thank you.
This spring, I invite you to shop in downtown Stillwater. Downtown Stillwater is home to locally owned shops, boutiques, eateries, and dependable professionals that you can trust. Find the perfect gift for your graduate, have a delicious meal with mom, or just stop in to enjoy great spring savings. By creating a demand for local goods and services, you can ensure a place for the local businesses that help give our community character and keep it unique. On behalf of Downtown Stillwater, thank you for shopping local.